All right, we are live. And last time we were looking into something interesting, which is the second order effects of GLP-1 drugs. Let's go back over there. Actually, let me see. We might have that chat open. So quickly pause this. I'll find the chat right here. Perfect. We found it. All right. Well, the ripple effects of GLP-1 drugs across the entire healthcare ecosystem. So there's something interesting we are seeing. GLP-1 drugs. Scott Galloway said that GLP-1 is going to be bigger than GPT, and that has been true. Eli Lilly has been performing really well. What is the stock market, or what's the market cap of Eli Lilly right now? Let's see. Eli Lilly market capitalization. It is almost $1 trillion. United States changed 20% in the year. Share price rank 13. Okay. Pharmaceuticals. 13th most valuable company by market cap according to our data. Almost about to hit $1 trillion. Where do I go? What is this ranking by countries? Global ranking. Okay. Let's see the global ranking. So Nvidia is number 1. 4.6 trillion. Apple, almost 4. Google, wow, this is crazy. This is crazy. Elon Musk said that the entire value of Nvidia is basically just one FTP file that they send to TSMC. Is that true? Let's see. Because entire manufacturing, packaging, the printing of the chips that happens at TSMC. So the true value that he thought about of Nvidia is just that FTP file. But let's go back over here. Alphabet is 3.7, Microsoft 2.8, Amazon 2.1. Wow, TSMC is out there. Okay, TSMC 1.9. Just a few years ago, we were just talking about billion-dollar companies. And then one of the companies, I think it was Microsoft or was it Google or Apple, they hit $1 trillion. And since then, we are now seeing this rise of trillion-dollar companies, which is crazy, Okay. We got TSMC 1.9 trillion. We got Saudi Aramco 1.6. Okay. Wow. After US, Taiwan is the biggest contribution. This is crazy for Taiwan. Like Taiwan isn't that relevant in terms of how relevant is Taiwan in terms of culture, in terms of just like culture. I think culture is the biggest one. Like how often do we talk about Taiwan? But Taiwan ends up being one of the biggest contributors after US in terms of market cap. Wow. What else do we have? Saudi Aramco, Meta 1.6. Broadcom 1.5, Tesla 1.4. Broadcom is up there. Okay. Broadcom, Nvidia. AMD should also be here somewhere. Okay. But it's really good to see that we don't have a lot of oil companies in top 10. We have tech companies. We have companies that are democratizing information and democratizing technology. Tesla, Berkshire Hathaway 1 trillion. Walmart 1, and Eli Lilly is just shy of 1. You got Samsung, JP Morgan Chase, ExxonMobil, Tencent, Johnson & Johnson, Visa, ASML. Wow. After Taiwan, we got South Korea, right? Samsung, we got Tencent, China, and then we got Netherlands. Wow, ASML. Okay. Again, South Korea, SK Hynix, Micron, Visa, MasterCard, Costco, wow. AbbVie, Oracle. What is AbbVie? Pharmaceuticals. Okay. Interesting. Biotech, pharmaceuticals. Okay. Oracle, Procter and Gamble, Roche. What is Roche? Again, pharmaceuticals. All right. Home Depot, ICBC. ICBC is Chinese bank. Roche is Switzerland Pharmaceuticals. Okay, wow. You can have one of the big companies. So Roche is one of the biggest companies of Switzerland. If I search, oh, what is the biggest company of Switzerland that contributes the most to its GDP? Is that true that the answer would be Roche? The answer is Nestle. Wow. Most deeply anchors the national economy. Nestle is the closest thing. Headquartered in Vevey, largest food and beverage company in the world, consistently ranked one of the most valuable Swiss companies, most valuable Swiss brand, major Swiss employer and exporter. About Switzerland, I think it's on their government page or something. Okay. Schweizerische Eidgenossenschaft Confédération Suisse. They have multiple languages over there. Home to some major multinationals. Employ a large number of staff and contribute disproportionately to GDP. Nestle, the food and beverages giant, is the largest employer with 270,000 strong workforce worldwide. Switzerland is home to 14 of the 500 largest companies in the world in terms of market. Okay, Novartis and Roche. Okay, UBS, Zurich, and Swiss Re, Glencore, commodities, Nestle, Microscope, Holcim, building materials, Adecco, human resources, ABB. Okay, engineering technology, are headed by foreign nationals with international experience and expertise. Very interesting. Very interesting. So this is the Swiss website. Featured topics: national sports are football, skiing, and ice hockey. They attract thousands of spectators. The Alps, since time immemorial, stretching the width of the country. 60% of Switzerland's surface area. Stay connected with Switzerland. eda.admin.ch. Society. Culture. Overview. 4 national languages, wealth of traditions. Supported by the public sector, the lottery fund, and private patrons. Most literary figure. Heidi. Best-selling children's books worldwide, inspired countless of film adaptations. Heidi and the Goat. Attend at least one music performance a year, 20% play a musical instrument. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. Contributes more meaningfully to employment, innovation, tax-based, long-term industrial capability. Okay, really cool. So we got Roche, Home Depot, ICBC, Bank of America, Chevron, Alibaba, General Electric, Caterpillar. More Chinese companies now. France, LVMH, 326 billion. Okay. Coca-Cola, Agricultural Bank of China. China Construction Bank. LVMH, Netflix, Novartis. I didn't know Novartis was Switzerland. Okay. AMD is way below Broadcom. Wow. Okay. So there is more growth potential with AMD. Okay. AstraZeneca is UK. Okay. Toyota is Japan. Palantir 309. Okay. Merck, Cisco. Now we're getting into some tech companies. Cisco, Lam Research, PetroChina, HSBC, Applied Materials, Philip Morris, RTX. What is RTX? RTX is a massive company, aerospace defense contractors. Okay, we got RTX, Nestle, Switzerland, 270, Goldman Sachs, 270. Wow. So JP Morgan Chase is much bigger. Where did JP Morgan go? JP Morgan Chase. Whoa, is right here. Whoa. Oh no, it was even up there. Oh wow, JP Morgan Chase is like double the size of Goldman Sachs. I thought I like Goldman Sachs has such a powerful name, such powerful branding. I thought Goldman Sachs was much bigger than JP Morgan Chase. Why is or what led to JP Morgan Chase being much bigger than Goldman Sachs? The size gap between JP Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs comes down to fundamentally different business models and century of strategic acquisitions. So JPC does everything: consumer banking, commercial banking. It seems also like JP Morgan basically acquired Chase, and they might be like, it's like double the size of Goldman Sachs now. Consumer banking, commercial banking, investment banking, asset management, credit cards, mortgage. Was built as a pure play investment bank and trading house serving institutional clients and the ultra wealthy. The distinction alone accounts for most of the size difference. JP Morgan has roughly 4 trillion in assets versus Goldman's 1.7 trillion. JP Morgan's revenue is roughly 3 to 4x Goldman's. Yes, the Chase in the name matters enormously. 2000, JP Morgan and Co. merged with Chase Manhattan, which itself had already absorbed Chemical Bank and Manufacturers Hanover. Looking at the consolidation of 4 major banks into one entity. In 2004, JP Morgan Chase acquired Bank One, which brought in Jamie Dimon. Oh, okay. Adding a massive consumer and commercial banking footprint across the Midwest. JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon. I keep thinking Jamie Dimon is from Goldman Sachs, but no, Jamie Dimon is from JP Morgan. The 2008 crisis and Accelerant. JP Morgan was in a strong enough position to acquire Bear Stearns and Washington Mutual during the financial crisis at a fire sale prices. Washington Mutual, largest savings and loan in the US, that gave JP Morgan a huge West Coast retail presence overnight. Goldman, meanwhile, had to convert to a bank holding company just to survive and access Fed lending facilities. JP Morgan sits on roughly 2.4 trillion in deposits. That's extraordinarily cheap funding. Goldman historically funded itself through wholesale markets and trading, more expensive and more volatile. Goldman only launched Marcus, its consumer banking push, in 2016, and has since scaled parts of it back after struggling with execution. JP Morgan owns massive steady revenue from credit cards. It's the largest card issuer in the US. Exactly, credit cards. That's where you are making money. What's the incentive for JP Morgan to scale back credit cards when credit cards make so much money? Because you're relying on so much of the young people, the families spending money. Wow. Steady revenue from credit cards, mortgage origination, auto loans, and small business lending. These are boring but enormous cash flows that smooth out the cyclicality of investment banking and trading. Goldman's revenue has historically been much more concentrated in trading, advisory, and asset management, higher margin in good years, but far more volatile. Auto loans and small business lending, these are boring but enormous cash flows that smooth out the cyclicality of investment banking and trading. Goldman's revenue has historically been much more concentrated in trading, advisory, and asset management, higher margin in good years, but far more volatile. Built through a century consolidation, while Goldman is a specialized boutique, albeit an enormous one, that shows depth over breadth. The gap isn't really about one being better, it's about pursuing completely different strategies. Goldman generates significantly higher revenue per employee and has historically had higher returns on equity in strong markets. JP Morgan just operates at a completely different scale because it chose to be everything to everyone. So how many banks did JP Morgan Chase ended up buying? Typing feels so slow right now. Okay. Untangling JP Morgan Chase's intricate acquisition history. Okay, let's go down. AMD, AstraZeneca, Toyota, Palantir, Merck, USA, Cisco, Lam Research. What is Lam Research? Semiconductors, tech, hardware. Okay. PetroChina, HSBC, Applied Materials, semiconductors, tech, hardware. Philip Morris International. Philip Morris International, let's see. Delivering a smoke-free future. It's a tobacco company, and their mission is we deliver a smoke-free future. Interesting. Philip Morris International. We welcome tough questions and provide straight answers. Watch our Let's Talk video series. Cigarettes are harmful, so why not just stop selling them? Smoke-free products that, while not risk-free, are a far better choice than cigarette smoking. This is where it gets very weird. It's like you are still gonna sell it, but now you're like, there's still risk, but it's less risk. Why take the risk?
Ultimately, if your aim is to stop every smoker out there from smoking, why wouldn't you just stop making cigarettes?
If Apple stopped producing iPhones today, would people stop using phones? The answer is no. The equivalent of that is if we stopped cigarettes, the smoker goes tomorrow to the shop, they'll buy another brand. And we don't have to eat. The answer is no. The equivalent. If
This is very interesting. This is very interesting.
Ultimately, if your aim is to stop every smoker out there from smoking, why wouldn't you just stop making cigarettes?
If Apple stopped producing iPhones today, would people stop using phones? The answer is no. The equivalent of that is if we stopped making cigarettes, a smoker goes tomorrow to the shop, they'll buy another brand. And we don't have to imagine scenarios. We can look at the countries that actually banned tobacco. Bhutan did it several years ago, banned the use of cigarettes. South Africa, in COVID times, banned temporarily the sale of tobacco products and alcohol. What happened? The market was flooded with illicit products. So if there is demand, there will be a supply, and we believe it's better to phase out cigarettes, obviously, and if more people are switching to smoke-free products, obviously there will be less demand for cigarettes.
Who is the CEO of Philip Morris International? I think it's Philip Morris. Yes, Philip Morris. So if you are the CEO of a cigarette company, do you also have to smoke? Okay. Transition toward a smoke-free future. Born Poland, University of Lodz. Residence Lausanne, Switzerland. He advanced through roles across Europe, including managing director for Poland and Germany, president of PMI's European Union region. Before becoming CEO, he served as financial officer, operating officer. Transformed PMI from a cigarette manufacturer to a diversified science-driven consumer company in wellness and health sectors. By Barron's, among the world's top 25, top 26 chief executives, joining figures such as Warren Buffett and Satya Nadella. The honor marked him as first Polish executive recognized in this global ranking. Okay. Publicly stated that traditional cigarettes belong in museums, reflecting his belief in a data-driven, health-oriented Future for the nicotine industry. Okay. Somewhere, I think there has to be a clear narrative over here. What exactly are you doing? Quotes from inside the company new setup. Overall global leadership, Frederick DeWild, PMI International non-US markets, and Stacy is CEO PMI US. So if you're looking at the global captain steering the ship through its smoke-free transformation, that's all Zach at the helm. So they have US market, non-US market, and then they have the group CEO. Okay, so that basically means like how important US is for smoking. If your mindset is, I focus on the threats first, by definition, you will not go into opportunities. I think we should start with opportunities. This captures his bias toward proactive evolution rather than defensive preservation. On transformation as culture, the word transformation sounds temporary. In reality, it never ends. It becomes culture. The word transformation sounds temporary. In reality, it never ends. It becomes culture. When you are doing something new and sizable, you need to have courage. I think it's a very standard like quotes. Okay, there is essentially zero risk of over communication, but a significant risk of under communication. Innovation needs to be accessible and impactful. We can see the world without cigarettes. The sooner it happens, the better. Paradoxical line from a tobacco CEO that defines his strategic narrative. Actions matter. We need actions, not words. Being Polish probably helped. We more readily took life into our own hands. We need actions, not words, to restore trust. Okay? All sides should engage in a transparent show me, don't tell me approach to sharing information, demonstrating results, and addressing concerns. Ties to be formed and progress to be made. I remember how weeks before the global outbreak of the pandemic, a conversation in Davos called attention to the challenges of restoring trust in institutions, particularly in government, media, and business, has been in decline for years. A socially minded approach is important to rebuild trust. What is he trying to say over here? Let's see. In plain terms, he's saying trust is no longer earned through messaging, it's earned through measurable behavior. Okay. And for companies like Philip Morris, especially, words are almost worthless now. Here's the distilled core. Trust is broken across society. Governments, media, corporations all have seen declining trust. Businesses are now judged by impact, not intent. Solve real societal problems, improve health outcomes, reduce environmental harm, show scientific backing for claims. In short, performance is more than narrative. This matters even more for controversial industries. He explicitly acknowledges that people don't trust tobacco companies. Don't trust us, audit us, judge our actions on data or outcomes. Transparency is the new currency. Trust comes from open engagement, even disagreement. Progress happens when facts are confronted, conversations are allowed, assumptions are challenged. Avoiding scrutiny destroys trust faster than failure does. Companies now have a societal role. Staying neutral is no longer viable. Recovery, innovation, public health, environmental responsibility, silence reads as abdication, the underlying subtext. He's reframing legitimacy. Historically, corporations earned legitimacy through size, success, or shareholder returns. Now, legitimacy must be continuously demonstrated through societal alignment. This is like a lot of nothing burger, as they call it. Smoke-free future. 42% total global net revenue came from our smoke-free business. 43 million estimated legal age consumers of PMI's smoke-free products. 106 markets where smoke-free products are available, providing better alternatives for legal age smokers. Why are they focusing on smoke-free products? Survival strategies dressed up as health narrative. The cigarette business has a slow burn expiration date, not tomorrow, not next decade, but structural regulations keep tightening, social acceptance keeps shrinking, taxes keep rising, litigation risk never disappears. Cigarettes are now a cash cow, but also a melting ice cube. So PMI needs a future where nicotine demand stays. I think there's a good argument that yes, there are people who still want to smoke. So when they want to smoke, they might go to the black market. They might go to the illicit products. So you need to have much more healthy, better experience products. So that kind of argument does make sense. That does make sense, because if you straight out ban, there are some people who still want it, and then they will go towards the black market, and that might be very risky for their health. Nicotine demand stays, combustion disappears. Smoke-free products let them keep the engine while swapping out the fuel system. Combustion is the villain, non-nicotine. But I think there's also this balance of, if people never wanted to smoke, this business wouldn't be this big. This wouldn't be such a massive business. This wouldn't be a 52nd rank $300 billion business. PMI wouldn't be a $300 billion business if people didn't have this urge to smoke. $300 billion is a massive number. It's the world's 52nd largest business. So it goes both ways. It goes both ways. It goes both ways.
There's a lot of confusion around smoke-free products. What are they? Are they really less harmful than cigarettes? And why are governments banning them completely? There's a lot to unpack, but let's begin with what a smoke-free product is.
Smoke-free products are very different products than cigarettes are, the most known tobacco product in the world. Cigarettes are lit and burned, and the smoker inhales the smoke. Smoke contains thousands of chemicals, many of which are harmful. Your body is exposed to them, and over time it develops into the disease. So the first principle we developed was, let's eliminate the burning process. We can eliminate the burning process by a couple of things. We can control the temperature in terms of how we heat tobacco but not burn it. That's heated tobacco products. We can heat the liquid that contains nicotine. This is e-vapor product. Or we can create oral, heat the liquid that contains nicotine.
I'm really curious about this. The way
tobacco products, tobacco but not burned.
The way this guy is putting a hand on him, like, what is that exactly telling him? Like, I'm really curious.
That's heated tobacco products. We can heat the liquid that contains nicotine. This is e-vapor product. Or we can create oral products, such as nicotine pouches, which basically are not warmed at all. But the key component, irrespective how different these products are, is that they do not contain the burning, which is the main source of smoking-related disease.
Combustion is the villain on nicotine. From a scientific and regulatory standpoint, the real damage in smoking comes from burning tobacco, not the nicotine itself. Burning creates thousands of chemicals, carcinogens. Tar, smoke-free alternatives aim to deliver nicotine without the fire. Heated tobacco, vapes, oral nicotine pouches. Think of it like moving from coal power plants to nuclear, same output, different mechanism, less visible harm. PMI's entire thesis is, if smokers won't quit nicotine, migrate them to lower harm formats. That's what they call harm reduction. The future market is not nicotine, it's regulated nicotine. This is the deepest strategic layer. PMI knows demand doesn't vanish just because supply stops. They even hint at it on the pages. When countries banned tobacco, black markets exploded. Real game becomes own the legal regulated alternative before someone else does. If nicotine becomes medicalized, regulated, tech mediated, then whoever controls the cleaner delivery systems controls the future of the category. I think this is also interesting because yes, there are nicotine products that nicotine pouches that people are using. So it's from business perspective, people are now buying those products. So people have been made aware of the harmful effects of if people have been made aware of the harmful effects of burning tobacco, and now they're moving towards these nicotine pouches, so just from a business perspective, it makes much more sense that, hey, just move over there. And PMI, I think ChatGPT had a pretty good summary of this, that this is survival strategy wrapped into health benefit for the community, for the society. The business model shift, old world self-addiction through combustion. Let's actually ask Claude. So Philip Morris International is a $300 billion company today. And people, regulators have been going after and attacking the business of Philip Morris. But it wouldn't be a $300 billion company if people didn't want it. It shows that people really want the products that they are making. And that has made this company really valuable. You're in the right ballpark. PMI's market cap is sitting around 284. Barclays recently raised the price target to 205. So it could well push past 300 billion before long. Your core observation is interesting and there's real truth to it. Market cap as a revealed preference signal is hard to argue with. But I think it's worth pulling on that thread a bit more because the story is actually more nuanced than people want cigarettes, therefore big company. What's really driven PMI's recent valuation surge isn't just legacy cigarette demand, it's their pivot. Heat not burn, IQOS, and Zen. Oral nicotine pouches are now central to their identity as a smoke. Oh, so they own Zen. Okay. Zen are now central to their identity as smoke-free company. Their Q4 2025 earnings jumped sharply, driven specifically by growth in the smoke-free business. So the market isn't just rewarding people want nicotine, it's rewarding the transition strategy. Investors are pricing in a future where PMI successfully moves consumers from combustible cigarettes to reduced risk products. I'm actually curious. So this is the highest they have ever been. This is the highest they have ever been, which is crazy. Their last peak was 180. So this new strategy is actually really working. I don't know what is working, but something is really working. Okay, for them. Investors are pricing in a future where PMI successfully moves consumers from combustible cigarettes to reduced risk products. Complicates your argument in an interesting way. You could read it as regulation didn't kill the company, it forced an evolution that made it more valuable. The pressure from regulators arguably pushed PMI into Zen and IQOS faster than they would have moved otherwise, and those products have better margins and more defensible long-term position. Crazy. There's also the addiction dimension that makes people want to do a lot of heavy lifting as a phrase. Nicotine creates demand that's structurally different from, say, demand for a new iPhone. The philosophical question, which feels like a territory, is whether revealed preference through market behavior tells us what people want or what they are captured by. The Vedantic framing would probably draw a sharp line between desire and authentic will. Is this for a live stream segment, or are you working through a broader thesis about regulation with consumer sovereignty? So this is interesting. My general thought right now is that people are kind of sometimes distracted. Most people are illusioned by the world, and they are chasing the quick pleasures of the world and avoiding the real work, avoiding their fears, avoiding their pain. And that is this market. That is this massive market of consumer products, which could be shopping, gambling, parties, alcohol, tobacco, nicotine. And people are going to spend it. So companies are here to serve them. What needs to happen is, I believe everybody goes through these phases. So what kind of needs to happen is sometimes we need to pull these people out of it and get them onto the right path. Or maybe they come up with these realizations by themselves. But until then, the consumer companies are going to take advantage of them. Because why not? They're anyways going to spend their money. Wow. This is a massive... I love WhisperFlow because I can talk about my queries in so much depth that Claude has so much context in terms of what I'm thinking. It's not just basic idea. Right now what's happening is that I'm kind of putting out my entire thought process out there, and now I can get Claude to challenge my framework. This is a really compelling framework, and I can hear the Vedantic lens all over it. That you were describing maps almost perfectly onto Maya and the cycle of avidya. The idea that most people are operating under kind of spell chasing, sense pleasures, vishaya, as a substitute for confronting what's actually uncomfortable or real. And you're making a generally provocative economic argument that a huge portion of consumer markets are essentially monetized avoidance. Shopping, gambling, alcohol, nicotine, these aren't just products. They are escape routes from self-confrontation. Yes. Most people don't want to confront the self. Most people don't want to confront the self. And this is also very interesting. This is a really interesting conversation I'm having with my friend, which is all about confrontation, and it's about mirror. It's about mirror. Everything that you mirror is very interesting. That everything that you hate about the world or hate about someone else or something like that, if that's coming to your brain, think about it, that's a mirror. That's telling you something. That's telling you something that you need to fix. Maybe that's telling about yourself what you need to fix. So looking at the world as a mirror is really important. And what starts happening is that also I believe that if you become really good at confronting others about things that's top of your mind, and you want to really talk about that, and you want to talk with other people, what ends up happening is that as you become really good at confronting others, you become really good at confronting yourself. And the moment you get good at confronting yourself, that's when the real development starts. That's when the quick feedback loop starts. So monetized avoidance is pretty cool. Okay. You're making a generally provocative economic argument that a huge portion of consumer markets are essentially monetized avoidance. Shopping, gambling, alcohol, nicotine, these aren't just products. These are escape routes from self-confrontation. The companies aren't creating the demand so much as they are building infrastructure around a pre-existing human tendency to flee from discomfort. Humans have a need to flee from discomfort, and they are going to chase sensory pleasures for that. And if they are spending $1,000, you are like, let me try to capture the most out of it. Which makes sense because you are going to be spending money. But then the problem comes when the company can go really deep into extraction mode, and when the person finally decides that, okay, I'm done with this, I want to move out of this world, I want to go to the better path, if then the company reels them back in and really makes it difficult for them to get out, that's real problem. That is the real problem. There's a beautiful little red plane that's going around Vancouver right now, which is crazy. Okay. Anyways, monetized avoidance. The companies aren't creating the demand as much as they are building the infrastructure around a pre-existing human tendency to flee from discomfort. Or push back a little. And I think you would find this productive is on the framing of why not. They are going to spend their money anyway. There's a difference between serving a demand and engineering its deepening. Yes, that's right. You are engineering its deepening. You are making it more addictive, and you are also making the self-confrontation even harder. Even if they want to go and confront themselves, you are reeling them back into that. You are making them even more addicted, and you are not letting them actually evolve. Philip Morris didn't just sell cigarettes to people who wanted them. They spent decades deliberately designing products to be more addictive in marketing them to teenagers. Zen is arguably doing something similar now with younger demographics. So the relationship isn't purely consumer wants, company serves. There's a feedback loop where companies actively work to keep people in that illusioned state because it's profitable. The more interesting question from your framework is the transition point. You said sometimes we need to pull these people out of it. That's where your philosophical instruments project actually lives, right? You're building tools that force self-confrontation, momentum or as a service, the graveyard of takes. These are basically digital interventions designed to crack the Maya just enough that someone might wake up for a moment. But here's the tension I find fascinating. You are using the same distribution channels, the internet content attention economy that the avoidance industries use. You're competing for the same eyeballs that Philip Morris and gambling apps are competing for, except you're trying to use that attention for the opposite purpose, to wake people up rather than keep them asleep. That's a much harder sell commercially, which is why PMI is worth 284 billion and philosophical content creators have to figure out sponsorships. That's right. Wow, Claude is like showing me the mirror right now. Hey, this is it. They are going after addictions and you are confronting yourself and the people. Do you see a world where the awakening side of this can ever compete economically with the avoidance side? Okay, I'm really curious. Can you tell me the most profitable, the company with the highest market cap, whose entire business relies on self-confrontation, on awakening the people from their illusions, from chasing sensory pleasures? I love this. With WhisperFlow, we can go deeper and deeper. We can give more and more context to Claude, because this is not how I would write my query, but this is how I talk. So I can talk in this beautiful way where I can give more high signal context to Claude, and we can start going deeper and deeper. And I think this interface is also pretty cool, where voice in and text out, because voice in is really good for the human. This is how I'm thinking. Text out is exactly what AI is good at. It's really good at thinking about how it wants to respond and research, and then give me a short text where I can then quickly read. Because something what happens with ChatGPT is that ChatGPT voice mode is trying to have a conversation with you, and in a conversation it's like, if I talk for 30 seconds, you talk for 30 seconds. If I talk for 1 minute, you talk for maybe 2 minutes. But it's not like if I talk for 30 seconds, you go and talk for 10 minutes. That's not how a conversation happens. So ChatGPT is very mindful of that. So sometimes it's like, I want more depth from you. Why are you not going in more depth when I'm enjoying this voice mode conversation? So Claude is really good at that. Like, if you're truly into using AI as a mirror, using AI for improving how you think, improving your thought process, and challenging your own frameworks, it's actually beautiful. This reminds me of Eileen Gu, who is a skier from China who just won a gold medal in free skiing. She said this very interesting thing. She's like, hey, it's pretty much like, I sit with my brain. I am constantly challenging my frameworks. I'm constantly challenging the way I think and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool how she said that, and it's very inspiring. And pretty much that's exactly what you want to do with AI. Okay. The closest candidates I can find are calm. I think the answer to your question is the point. What a question. Let me look into this properly. Wow. Claude is telling me, what a question. Sovereign meditation therapy platform seeking highest market capitalization, compared market valuations across mindfulness companies and competitors. I think the answer to your question is the point. The closest candidates I can find are Calm, which peaked at around a $2 billion valuation during COVID. Okay, this is it. Build the biggest therapy platform. But what is a therapy platform? You are basically talking. So all the guys who feel that they are lonely, they are talking to a woman, and they're having this 1 hour long conversation. They feel good. The women feel like they cared about someone, and it's happening online. Wow. Wow. Really cool. Arguably come down since Traxin now puts it at about 1 billion. Kraken. Then there's Talkspace, which is publicly traded and sitting at roughly 640 million in market cap. Headspace merged with a telehealth company and went private. That's basically the entire landscape. Has arguably come down since. Kraken now puts it at about $1 billion. Then there's Talkspace, which is publicly traded and sitting at roughly 640 million in market cap. Headspace merged with a telehealth company and went private. That's basically the entire landscape. So the most generous answer to your question is about 1 to 2 billion. Wow, I'm thinking about this. I am thinking about this. Wow. This is a business where you get to talk to, like, you basically help all the men talk to women. You help all the men talk to women. The goal is a 1 hour conversation. You were just talking to her. The man feels like he has finally talked to a woman. It's a massive source of motivation. It's a massive source of motivation to actually talk to a woman and actually have a nice conversation without any requirements, prerequisites, without any tension over there. You were just having a nice conversation with them without dealing with, hey, are you free for dinner or blah, blah, blah. Nothing like that. You're just having a really nice conversation. Very cool. So the most generous answer to your question is about 1 to 2 billion, and even that's being charitable. Wow, this is a crazy idea. I think there was a very interesting thing. I forgot what campus is that, but somebody just quote tweeted that on Twitter, that you basically came to the solution of arranged marriage from first principles. You basically came to the conclusion of arranged marriage from first principles, which is that this entire university is like, oh, guys and girls are not talking to each other, so let's just link them up, and they just have to spend time together. And they're like, this is basically what arranged marriage is. You're not letting people decide who they want to spend time with and blah, blah, blah. You just put them together. You're like, okay, now you have to spend time with them. Okay. Very cool. Very interesting. Let's see. Okay. Most generous answer to your question is about 1 or 2 billion, and even that's being charitable because Calm has pivoted heavily towards sleep stories and celebrity narrations. It's arguably become more of an entertainment comfort product than a genuine self-confrontation tool. Sleep stories and celebrity narrations. It's soothing you, not waking you up. And Talkspace is really a therapy delivery platform which is closer to the mark but still largely operates within a medical insurance framework rather than a philosophical awakening one. Now put that next to Philip Morris at 284 billion. What do we call this? Do we call this arranged? Arranged. So the most generous answer to your question is about 1 or 2 billion, and even that's being charitable because Calm has pivoted heavily toward sleep stories and celebrity narrations. It's arguably become more of an entertainment comfort product than a genuine self-confrontation tool. It's soothing you, not waking you up, and Talkspace is really a therapy delivery platform which is closer to the mark but still largely operates within a medical insurance framework rather than a philosophical awakening one. Now put that next to Philip Morris at 284 billion on the gambling industry globally, or alcohol, or fast fashion. The asymmetry is absurd. Maybe 200:1 or 300:1 in favor of avoidance over awakening. And this reveals something the Upanishads would have predicted perfectly. Maya is self-sustaining because it's profitable, and awakening is self-limiting because once someone wakes up, they stop buying. Maya is self-sustaining because it's profitable, and awakening is self-limiting because once someone wakes up, they stop buying. Philip Morris needs you to stay addicted. Calm, if it actually worked, if it generally produced the awakening it claims to offer, would lose its customers. The business model of true self-confrontation is inherently self-defeating at scale. That's a paradox you are living inside with your philosophical instruments. You are building tools whose success condition is that people no longer need them. I don't think so. I don't think so about Calm, because people who feel like awakening is a state. There is no one human being who's like, oh, you are awakened now. Now you operate differently. No. It's a constant effort to stay awake. It's a constant effort to stay awake. And the constant effort means you need to design your entire environment in such a way so that you are constantly in the awakened state. That is really important. That's a paradox we're living inside with the philosophical instruments. Really cool. Really cool. I'm actually curious. Let's check out Calm's website. Whoa. Calm your mind, change your life. We're here to help you better. Stress less, sleep more, live mindfully. With 2 million 5-star reviews. When I cannot fall asleep, I turn on this app and I'm out within 5 minutes. Start your free trial of Calm Premium. Think you might have a relationship OCD? Here's what to know. "40 dating questions that take people to the next level." Okay. What are the questions? Can asking certain dating questions lead to love? Questions that help you feel more comfortable. What's something that always makes you laugh? What's your perfect Sunday look like? What's your favorite comfort show movie? What's an activity that makes you feel most free? How do you like to feel comforted when you are down? How much alone time do you need each week? Who inspires you? What are some of your hobbies? How do you feel about being outside in nature? What album or book would you take with you to a deserted island? Questions that reveal what matters to you. What are your love languages? What makes time spent with someone feel like quality time? What part of dating do you love, hate the most? What's a quality you admire in your friends or family? What actions make you feel appreciated? Really cool. Really cool. What's something in your life you're working on or working towards? Are you comfortable with vulnerability? Questions that help you understand each other. What is your relationship with your family like? How important is your career to you? How do you relax and unwind? How do you split your time between dating, friends, work, and solo time? How do you tend to handle conflict? How do you stand up for yourself if you're not being treated fairly? What's something that's challenged you lately? Do you have any big dreams? I think this is also very interesting. I was watching a movie, and in that movie, these are two old people, maybe in their 40s, and they're talking about what they wanted to become when they were young. I think that's very interesting. There will be a time in your life when you are gonna be talking about what you wanted to be, and they seem to be having a very expensive dinner. So I'm like, this was a choice to either have those savings and do the things that you really wanted to do, versus just the normal things, the normal route. It's very interesting to do the things that you want to do. It's really interesting. It's really important. How do you stand up for yourself if you're not being treated fairly? Do you have any big dreams? What is something valuable you learned from dating or past relationships? Explore. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? How do you see us fitting into each other's lives? Is it important that we align on political and spiritual beliefs? How important is commitment, like marriage and family, to you? What are your feelings on monogamy? How do you feel about discussing money and financial goals? How do you feel about cohabitation before marriage? What does a healthy long-term relationship look like to you? What would signal to you that we are ready to meet each other's friends, family? Are you comfortable being physically affectionate and family? How much communication do you like in between dates? How much alone time do you need each week? Very interesting. Okay. Maya is self-sustaining before it's profitable. No, actually do more research. Find me more companies, because there are definitely more companies that help you, help the society, help people become awake. Yes, you can't stop over here. We need more actions. This is dumb. Isn't trying to save smokers. It's trying to save PMI. In a world where cigarettes eventually become culturally obsolete. See your smoke-free journey. This is actually very dumb to be like, we are a tobacco company and our goal is smoke-free future for our latest news and views. Marketing standards. It's our responsibility to market our products responsibly. Statement of purpose. Good conversion practices from how do you prevent underage use? I'm curious.
So real-world evidence is showing us that these products can help lower the number of smoking-related diseases, but they're still not risk-free. And as a huge multinational company, these products are in markets across the globe. What are you doing to stop underage use?
These products we produce are for adults only. We have very strict controls in terms of limiting the access of youth to these products. We develop our communication, which is clearly geared just to the adults. In all of our own retail channels, we have age verification.
I don't think you should be saying youth. You should be saying minors, because youth, a 20-year-old person is also youth. You should be saying minors, or everyone who is below the age where you are permitted to smoke.
to make sure that it's just the adult person who has access to these products, and we work with all our partners, such as distributors and vendors, to follow the same principles.
But there is no mention of these exact strict controls. Business people should think more like scientists, where failures present opportunities for solution. Only the consumer can make innovation a success, unleashing innovation through transformative power of cross-generational collaboration. Our leadership team, corporate, Emmanuel, Reginaldo, group controller. What are these stars? Christos, Herpantidis. They don't seem like they smoke. I don't know. Global services. Executive officers. Okay. The star means looking at the photos of the executive team or the leadership team, it doesn't seem like they smoke. I don't know what ChatGPT is gonna say. Sharp observation. They don't look like cigarette executives anymore. They look like consultants, farm operators, enterprise sales leadership, because culturally PMI is trying to stop being a tobacco company, become a regulated stimulation platform. Ooh, look at the texture of this leadership bench. Wow, wait, did it already do the research? Schneider Electric Finance, Pernod Ricard, Bain Healthcare Practice, Adidas CIO, Pharma Communication, Engineering Microelectronics, MBA Heavy Global Operators. This is not Marlboro Country. This is Tech Life Sciences Consumer Platform. Even the CEO's mandate explicitly mentions expanding into wellness and healthcare. That's not accidental phrasing. The modern nicotine company doesn't need leaders who smoke. Navigate regulators, talk to policymakers, build devices, run R&D pipelines, interface with healthcare frameworks. Cigarettes were an agricultural plus branding business. Smokefree is hardware, chemistry, regulation, behavioral science, digital ecosystem. Dawn Draper with a lighter. New PMI leadership archetype, McKinsey partner who runs marathons. Same demand being served, completely different institutional self-image. And that shift matters, because when executives themselves no longer culturally identify with the product, the company stops defending the past and starts engineering the exit. This is less we love smoking and more we love the cash flows. Let's redesign the delivery mechanism. Very cool. You're right, let me dig deeper. Okay, let's see. Here's a full picture. Let me lay out the landscape of companies you could argue are the business of waking people up. Closest to genuine self-confrontation awakening. Waking Up, Sam Harris. Estimated $1 million per month revenue, 38 employees. Purest awakening product that exists commercially. Treats meditation as a tool for investigating consciousness and existence, not just stress relief. Waking Up, okay. Meditation and wisdom. Waking Up, meditation and wisdom. Okay. Learn how to live a more fulfilling life, the Stoic path. Understand your mind and train it. Daily reflections. Talkspace, 640 million market cap, actual therapy, which is arguably the most direct commercial forms of self-confrontation. Calm. Behavior change, personal development, BetterUp, tier 2. Okay. Valued at 4.7 billion. Though that's likely inflated now. Professional coaching for clarity, purpose, and passion. But sold primarily to enterprises and employee benefit. Series C company based in Austin. Austin makes sense. Provider of an AI-powered platform delivering personalized coaching and development. BetterUp has raised 628 million funding from investors like Lightspeed, DFJ, Iconic. I want to. It would be cool. It would be cool to have a launch an app, white screen called Maya, and it just plays soothing music. Charge $200 per month. We want to make self-confrontation profitable. Self-confrontation extremely profitable. You want to make self-confrontation or awakening extremely profitable. Yes. Provider of an AI-powered platform delivering personalized coaching and development. The platform offers tools for leadership development, manager performance improvement, and resilience building. Delivers coaching to employees at all levels. Interesting. BetterUp. Latest employee count 412. United States. Okay. Noom, valued at 3.7 billion, hitting 1 billion annual recurring revenue with 1.5 million subscribers. Sacra. Cognitive behavioral therapy to change your relationship with food. Genuine behavior change, but narrowly focused on weight. Genuine behavior change, but narrowly focused. Mobile app for weight loss combining tracking, coaching, and GLP-1 prescriptions. We are back to GLP-1. We went all around the world to come back to GLP-1. Noom.com. Let's go. A healthier you wherever you are. A healthier you wherever you are. Continue. There's a photo of toasted bread, probably whole grain with some avocado. I don't know what's the difference between this green and this green. I don't know. So this is definitely avocado, but I don't know what is this. Then there's a nice egg. Egg is looking nice. What is your weight loss goal? I haven't decided yet. Maintain weight. Oh no, go back. Continue. Maintain weight, get fit. I'm a male. People may identify themselves with more than just sex and hormones. What is your gender identity? Oh my god. I'm a man. What is your age? 20s. What is your height? 5'11". What's your current weight? I don't mean to pry. Let's say 160. Do you have any of the following conditions? None. Have you ever been diagnosed with diabetes? No. Do you have any active diagnosis of an eating disorder? No. You are in trusted hands. You are not alone. We have helped people lose weight. New subscribers who lost at least 2% of their original weight. Continue. What is your ideal weight that you want to reach? Maybe 170. For every step you take with the free Noom app install, you will earn seeds that you can cash in for real world rewards. Learn more. Please open this email link on your mobile device. Where is the email link? I don't see an email link. Okay. I didn't even put my email. How did you get my link? Yes, there is no link. Okay. For organizations, company, research, new books, grounded in science, evidence-based science, feature publications. Wegovy pill, exploring the benefits, side effects, and costs. Wegovy ribelsus, cost without insurance. Does Tarspetide make you tired? What do you need to know? Tarspetide, oh my god. Tier 3, Duolingo, 4.9 billion market cap. Learning, yes, but language learning, not. Self-Confrontation. Coursera, Udemy, merging in a combined 2.5 billion. Oh right, wait, Coursera acquired Udemy or something like that happened. Did Coursera acquire Udemy, or did Udemy acquire Coursera? Coursera bought Udemy, okay. Coursera is acquiring Udemy. All stock deal, 2.5 billion, structurally framed as a merger. Practically, Coursera is the acquirer. After closing, Udemy becomes a wholly owned subsidiary of Coursera. Coursera shareholders will own majority of the combined company. As combined forces inside my house. Udemy, learn with Google's experts. Courses from $13.99. I did take one of my courses over here, so that was cool. Learn essential career and life skills, generative AI, artist certifications, ChatGPT, large language models, AI agents. Learn with Google. AI for app building. Oh, I know this guy. He is leading design at Gemini, I believe. Complete AI automation and agentic AI bootcamp with N8N. Artificial intelligence. Okay, really cool. And what if we go to Coursera website? It's pretty much the same. Training courses, Google Analytics. What else do we have? Google AI. Oh, he's actually making courses now. Google Prompting Essentials, Google AI Essentials, Google Project Management. So this is, I'm actually really curious what exactly happened. So you work at Google and Coursera has a deal with Google that we will create courses that will help you hire more people, hire more certified people. So your employees, current employees, will make courses so that when future people go through these certifications, they get those certifications, it makes it easier for you to hire them. Okay. Interesting. Seems like they're just working with Google. What sort of partnership does Coursera has with Google? What sort of partnership does Coursera has with Google? Oh, what did I do? Oh no. What sort of partnership does Coursera has with Google? Education to employment pipeline. Yes, Google builds a curriculum. Google creates full certificate programs, ID support, data analytics, UX design, project management, cybersecurity, AI/ML tracks, designed by Google's own internal training teams based on the skills they hire for. What we wish entry-level candidates already knew. Coursera is a distribution layer. Coursera provides platform, global reach, credentialing infrastructure, assessment system, learning pathways. Google does not run its own learning marketplace. Coursera acts as the rails. Google supplies the train. Certificates function as hiring signals. Publicly committed that its career certificates are equivalent to a 4-year degree for certain roles. Feed directly into its hiring ecosystem. Graduates get access to Google's employer consortium. 150 plus companies including Walmart, Deloitte, Target, Infosys. is not just knowledge, it's a labor market signal. Revenue structure, typical structure looks like learner pays Coursera subscription. Coursera shares revenue with Google. Google gains talent pipeline, global influence over workforce skills, brand expansion into education. It's actually cool. It's also their mechanism. These certificates are their mechanism not only to hire, but also train people on Google products that they can go and work with Google consortium. So other companies that use Google products. So now they could be, oh, wow. So Coursera is kind of the middleman. Coursera is the middleman who is running this entire testing, graduating mechanism. And then these people who are interested in becoming certified, they are learning Google's products. So Google is getting more users to become power users. Then Google gives them access to not only their jobs, but also jobs at Google itself, but also all the companies that use Google's products. So obviously that is going to be a transferable skill over there as well. It's a pretty cool mechanism. Wow, it's a pretty cool mechanism. It's Google partnering with Coursera for training on their products, and all these candidates who go on Coursera to learn, now they get job at both Google and they get job at other Google using companies. Wow, Google products using company, really cool. Global influence over workforce skills, brand expansion into education. Coursera gains premium content from a trusted brand, high enrollment magnet, strategic meaning. And I think Coursera just wanted one or two. Yeah, Coursera just wanted to close either Google or close Microsoft. I think they chose Google, which makes sense, which is pretty good. This is Google quietly building a parallel credential system outside universities, not anti-university, but post-university. Foster cheaper job align, apprenticeship layer for the knowledge economy. Google moves upstream in talent formation instead of hire, train. They now train, credential, influence hiring. And Coursera becomes the global switchboard that routes learners into that flow. Global switchboard. Global switchboard, really cool. This was cool. I am really curious. So for yesterday's stream, I'm really curious if the transcript is ready, because now we're excited with this new angle. We are now working with okay, there is an incredible article that recently came out. We're going to look into it. Let me just quickly open that. Yeah, so we'll look into it. Bookmarks, and this is it. We'll keep it over here and we'll come back to it. Okay, cool. Quickly go to yesterday's stream and what happened? Why is the computer so slow? And we're gonna check if we got the transcript showing. Transcripts are showing now. Let's go. We'll run Cloud on it, and I'm really excited. Like, the more highly specific data we have for capital allocators, the more fun this entire thing is gonna be. Try quick mode, our experimental fast browsing experience. There's a quick mode now. Timestamps, go. I'm not gonna use quick mode right now, but you go make things happen. Let's go. All right. Parfait. We need to hide this so it's not too distracting. Okay. I think this is gonna make my streaming slow. Okay. So stop. We don't want you right now. Go sleep. Okay. Duolingo. Masterclass valued at 2.75. I don't think they are still doing the same work. Masterclass, I don't know. It's still using learning as education. What? Maybe that's helpful. Maybe that's helpful. What we truly want is people to hear themselves. What's really important is helping people hear themselves, helping people sit with themselves and really hear what they are thinking about. That is something which is becoming really more and more important. Peloton, 1.9 billion market cap, makes exercise feel like entertainment. So if you're being strict about it, companies whose core business is generally about pulling people out of Maya, confronting their patterns, waking up, you're looking at maybe 5 or 10 billion total across all of them combined, and that's being generous. Philip Morris alone is 30 to 50x that. And here's what's devastating about the data. The closer a company gets to actual self-confrontation, the smaller it is. Waking up is maybe 50 million business. Noom, behavior change but still focus on a desire, weight loss is 3.7. Duolingo, learning but zero self-confrontation is 4.9. The market literally prices in a discount for depth of awakening. The companies that get big in this space do so by diluting the awakening element. Calm pivoted to sleep stories, masterclass became celebrity entertainment, Peloton made exercise feel like a party. The ones that stayed pure stayed small. The economics of samsara are overwhelmingly in favor of keeping people asleep. Maybe that's it. The more extreme you go in making money, the more extreme you are going in favor of keeping people asleep. Interesting. Okay. How many ashrams are there in the world? Global ashram distribution and prevalence. Largest Hindu ashram. Okay, there's no definite global count, but the data points we have are telling in India alone there are at least 8,544 ashrams. And that's just what's being catalogued. The real number in India is almost certainly higher since many ashrams are small, remote, and unregistered, tucked away in forest and mountain regions exactly as they have been for thousands of years. Across Southeast Asia, the West, South America, and you're probably looking at 10,000 plus worldwide, maybe significantly more. And here's the thing that connects back to everything else, everything we have been discussing. Ashrams are arguably the oldest awakening infrastructure on the planet. They have been running for millennia, long before Calm, before BetterUp, before any VC-backed wellness startup, and they operate on a fundamentally different economic model. Dan, Seva, minimal sustenance. They're not trying to scale. They are not optimizing for retention metrics. Many of them are literally free. So the awakening economy has always existed. Tell me some most beautiful top 10 ashrams. I think it'll be very weird. It's going to be like, hey, that's a very weird thing that you're saying. You are looking for beautiful top 10. You're ranking ashrams like that. That's bad. The one place you choose is beautiful. You're beautiful wherever you are. You can find silence wherever you are. Okay, beauty. Let's see, what do we have? Wait, this is Claude? Claude just brought in images. Let's go. Assemble visual references to create ashram rankings. Okay, Claude just brought in some images. I'm really happy. Wow, look at this. Look at this. This is beautiful. Anand in the Himalayas. Anand Spa Resort, Rishikesh. Rishikesh in the Himalayas, amazing for you. Sivananda Ashram Yoga Retreat. Hotels in the Bahamas. Isha Yoga Center, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. Foothills of the Veliyangiri Mountains, home to the massive 112-foot Adi Yoga Shiva statue. The gardens are beautiful. The yoga hall is incredible. Surroundings are breathtaking. One of the most visually striking spiritual species ever built. In what would have to be one of the most stunning settings in the world. Okay, I'm really curious. I am really curious. So this is also interesting. How much funding was raised for this yoga center? You shouldn't be calling it yoga center. It sounds very weird. Give it a nice hint. Give it a nice name. Samsara. Adi yoga statue. Silence. Mon. Yeah. The gardens are beautiful. The yoga hall is incredible. Surroundings are breathtaking. In what would have to be one of the most stunning settings in the world, Ananda Ashram is located in an orange sandstone building perched in the Himalayas. Transformative travel. It's a former Maharaja's palace estate overlooking the Ganga, where luxury meets genuine spiritual practice. I don't know what they have done with the name of Ganga. They've been in Ganges Valley. Say Ganga. Wow. Wellness retreats in India. Yeah, you're not counting. I think you didn't count the wellness retreats in my question about industries, businesses that are helping people get awake. Why didn't you count the wellness retreats? Anand. It's actually beautiful. It's beautiful. Let's go. Rishikesh. Let's go. Most stunning setting in the world. Okay, now I'm curious. Whoa, Claude's response was interrupted. Why? What interrupted you? Auto Living International Center, Panchgiri Hills. Find me ashrams in Vancouver. Oh. Let's see if we can find ashrams in Vancouver. Auroville, Matri Mandir, Pondicherry, the Golden Geodesic Sphere. The Matri Mandir at Auroville near Sri Aurobindo's ashram, found in 926, is unlike anything else on earth. The inner meditation chamber contains the largest optically perfect glass globe in the world. It's a physical manifestation of the idea that consciousness can be designed for geodesic dome. Oh, it's this one. Okay. It does look beautiful. An experimental township. Sivananda Ashram Yoga Retreat. How much funding was raised for this yoga center? Very differently from a VC funded startup, it's non-profit, so there's no funding raised, but the financial picture is still significant. Mix of program fees, donations, and product sales. Financially, US chapter alone reported revenues of 40 million 2022. US entity holds assets of about 190 million, and that's just the American arm. The Indian operations are much larger, encompassing the main Coimbatore campus and 70 million volunteers. Infrastructure is massive. Columnless yoga hall, Adi Yog, Alayam. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. What just happened? Adi Yog Alayam. That sounds nice. Adi Yog Alayam. Can we see the interiors? It's columnless. Meditation hall, Spanda, Adi Oak statue, residential school, rejuvenation center, and the Dhyan Ling temple. Building all of this has probably involved hundreds of millions of dollars over 3 decades, funded through donations, program fees, volunteer labor, product sales. Isha is probably one of the greatest awakening enterprises on the planet, and even with 70 million volunteers and global reach, its total financial footprint is maybe 200 to 300 million assets. Philip Morris generates that in profit every week. The economics of consciousness versus the economics of addiction aren't even the same universe. You're right, that's a big miss. Let me look into that properly. You're absolutely right to call that out. That's a massive blind spot in my analysis. Global wellness retreat market is valued at 248 billion, growing to 273 billion, and projected to reach 363.9 billion. And the broader wellness tourism market is even bigger, valued at 945 billion. Whoa, 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 we're getting somewhere. Projected to hit over 2 trillion. This is very cool, I think, because we have gone from companies to real estate. Real estate operates on a totally different scale. Okay. That completely changes the math. I was focused on tech companies and apps. Exactly. Let's go. The Silicon Valley lens and missed the fact that the single biggest awakening industry isn't digital at all. It's physical. It's people actually going somewhere, stepping out of their routine and sitting with themselves. The awakening economy, wellness retreats, wellness tourism, meditation, mindfulness apps, coaching platforms, therapy platforms, education learning, ashrams, billions in aggregate, unquantified but significant. That puts awakening side at potentially over $1 trillion when you include wellness tourism broadly. How much of that 248 billion in wellness retreats is genuinely awakening versus luxury escapism dressed up in yoga pants? A $5,000 per night beach resort with a spa and a morning meditation class is categorized as a wellness retreat, but is that really putting someone out of Maya, or is it just calm with a Sanskrit label? The weekend retreat segment dominates, accounting for more than 3/5 of market revenue, which suggests most people are dipping in for 48 hours, not committing for transformation. The market is huge, but the dilution problem we identified earlier still applies. The bigger the industry gets, the further it drifts from genuine self-confrontation toward comfort and consumption. There are actually, it seems like, many directions. Let's see quickly. Oh. 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 I am really excited to check this place out. I'm excited to check this place out. The number one thing it says is close to my gym. Okay. There's another one. Vancouver. Shambhala Center, Buddhist meditation in the Shambhala tradition, 4.9. Vancouver Shambhala Center. Let's see. Vancouver Shambhala Center. Okay. Okay. What else do we got? We got Kadampa Meditation Center. Buddhist meditation and Dharma teachings. Weekly drop-ins. Okay. Brahma Kumari's Meditation Center. Raj Yog. Richmond, we got Bodhi Meditation Vancouver. Really cool. Bodhi Meditation Vancouver. Oh. Wrong. Maps, and we'll go to Bodhi Meditation Vancouver, Canada. There's a Y Yoga at the Richmond Oval. Okay. That's something. Then we got, what do we have? Satguru. Ram Singh Satsang. Sikh Spiritual Center. We got Nectar Yoga Retreat, Bowen Island. Whoa. This looks cool. Nectar Yoga Retreat. Just a ferry right away. Geodesic Dome Yoga. Nectar Yoga Retreat. Okay. Nectar Yoga Retreat, Bowen Island. Let's go. Yashodhara Ashram. Where is this ashram? Oh my god. Most established residential ashram. Multi-month karma yoga stays available. One of my favorite places in the world. Where is this? Oh no. What is this place? Yashodhara Ashram, Kootenay Bay. Oh my god. Okay. Probably the closest thing to a traditional ashram experience in the city itself. Buddhist meditation tradition. Just a ferry right away. Has a lot of meditation centers, but very few true residential ashrams in the traditional sense. Lineage-based Guru tradition model. Most of the others are more like weekly practice communities. Wow. There's another Yashodhara ashram. Okay, anyways. We'll stop this loop. Stop this. Let's go. JP Morgan Chase, this was interesting. Too many banks, acquired too many banks. 29 formal acquisitions as a named entity. Absorbed into predecessors like Chemical Bank. Wow. Over 1,200 institutions. Wow. Bank of Manhattan Company, Chemical Bank, acquired Texas Commerce. Manufacturers Hanover, merged with Chase Manhattan. Chase Manhattan merged with JP. Bank One plus First Chicago. Bear Stearns, Washington Mutual, Bank of New York's Retail Network, JP Morgan, Casino, First Republic Bank. Okay. And we were over here. Wow, we were over here. RTX, Nestle, Goldman Sachs. Kui Chow Motai. What is Kui Chow Motai? It is alcoholic. High-end Chinese liquors, very popular in China. Wow, first alcohol brand. Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley. Hermes. Hermes is different than LVMH. Wow. I'm curious. What other brands does Hermes own? Very different game from the typical luxury empire. Quiet artisan village that prefers depth over sprawl. A single brand universe, unlike conglomerates that own dozens of fashion houses, primarily under its own name. This is not accidental, it's strategy. They built a cathedral, not a shopping mall. Does own a small constellation of heritage maisons. Think of it as satellites orbiting the same craftsmanship philosophy. John Loeb, ultra luxury bespoke footwear. One of the most prestigious shoemakers in the world. John Loeb. Saint Louis, historic French crystal maker. Oh, yes. Goblets, chandeliers, art glass. Saint Louis. Pew for cat, fine. Pew for cat. Tableware sculpture. Metaphors. Tannery Danone, premium calfskin tannery. Tannery de Cuir d'Indochine et de Madagascar. Hermès Cuir Précieux, exotic leather expertise. Structurally closer to a craft guild and a portfolio manager. One unified brand rather than a multi-house empire, which is why you do not see diffusion labels, loud acquisitions, brand roll-ups. Acquire timescale, raw material, vertical luxury. Luxury civilization. Very interesting. You got United Health, L'Oreal, Bank of China, T-Mobile, Cattle. Oh, 52 billion? No, sorry, 243 right over here. So we don't get until 100 billion, I think. Let's see. Royal Bank of Canada. Wow, RBC is the biggest Bank of Canada. 240. McDonald's, 239. International Holding Company. Very interesting. This gives me an idea. Let's get that. International Holding Company, Lind, PepsiCo, SAP, Prosus, Netherlands, SAP is Germany. International Holding Company is UAE. Investment, Prosus does investment. Shell, GE Vernova, okay. China Mobile, Siemens, not Simon, Siemens. American Express, Intel. Wow, massive difference. Massive difference between the bigger companies and Intel. 216 billion. Mitsubishi, Reliance, India. Wow. Inditex, Spain. Commonwealth, Australia. Verizon, IBM, Amgen, AT&T, BHP's Australia, Texas Instruments. Wow, that's a pretty sick logo. Texas Instruments. Wow. Abbott, Citigroup, Nextera, Deutsche Telekom, Germany. Rio Tinto, we've been hearing a lot about Rio Tinto recently. KLA, China Life Insurance, Thermo Fisher, Santander, Gilead, Boeing, Walt Disney, Gilead Sciences, Novo Nordisk. We got 200 and we haven't hit 100 billion yet, but really cool. ICICI Bank, Dior, CME, Mizuho, Enbridge, Sanofi, NL, Comcast, Altria, Palo Alto, McKesson, Mitsubishi, Air Liquid, China, Progressive, Avon, Adventist, HCA, Xiaomi, Intesa, San Paulo, Agnico, Eagle Mines. Okay, Agnico, Eagle Mines, Capital One, Interactive Brokers, BYD's 121. Wow, okay. Wow. BYD's 121. Tesla is 1.4 trillion, but look at BYD's speed. This is crazy. Vertex Pharmaceuticals, S&P, State Bank of India, Bristol Myers Squibb, Accenture, Booking Holdings, BNP Paribas, Medtronic, Parker, Hannafin, AppLovin, Essilor, Luxottica, Sony, Unicredit, DBS, Chubb, UBS, Force Relating, Bharti, Airtel. Airtel is massive. British American Tobacco, Banco, Bilbao, Vizcaya, Virgin Taria, ConocoPhillips, Newman, Blackstone Group, Eaton, Hitachi, Welltower, Uber, Sumitomo, Mitsui Financial Group, Stryker, Rolls-Royce, Danaher, Qualcomm, Shopify, let's go, Lockheed Martin, Pfizer, Anheuser-Busch, Union Pacific, really nice logo, Foxconn, Iberdrola, SoftBank, CM, Toronto Dominion, Unilever. Unilever is UK. I thought Unilever was India. Wow. Sinok, Honeywell, USA. Unilever is not Indian. Why does the logo feels very Indian? Wow. ABB, BlackRock, Total, Siemens, HDFC India, Charles Schwab, Salesforce, Safran, Airbus, Southern Cooper, Ping An, Schneider Electric, John Deere, 175. Al-Raji Bank, Starbucks, Constellation, ServiceNow, Northrop Grumman, Adobe. Adobe is going down and down. Bank of Montreal, Foxconn, Intuit, Itochu, Shoji, BP, SanDisk, CVS, Spotify. Okay, now we are getting into the lower ones. Group Mexico, Nike, 93. Marriott International, FedEx, Seagate, Canadian Natural Resources, SMIC, China, Barclays, ING, KKR, Munich, Lloyds Banking, ADP, I worked at ADP, Monster Beverage, Royal Caribbean. Wow. Okay. Really cool. Okay. This is the question that you wanted to ask. GLP-1, ripple effects of GLP-1 across the entire healthcare ecosystem. Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound, medications originally developed for type 2 diabetes management. They mimic the hormone glucagon-like peptide 1 to regulate blood sugar, suppress appetite, and promote significant weight loss, typically 15 to 20% of body weight. What did I just do? Get started by creating a new project, legal document review, writing assistant, co-writer, writer. No, go back. Okay. Storage, particularly for obesity treatment, leading to widespread effects across healthcare. Positive effects. They may prevent nearly 39,000 cardiovascular events annually with broader access. Cognitive health, behavioral health, even neurocognitive function. Preclinical data show improvements in neuronal survival and synaptic plasticity. Negative effects: gastrointestinal issues, increased risk of pancreatitis, kidney problems, GI complications have been noted. Extending life expectancy and reducing chronic disease burden. Effects on pharmaceutical and biotech industries. Market growth and innovation. GLP-1 market is exploding with companies like Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly seeing massive revenue boost. Cheaper generics expanding access in high obesity regions like India. Research is expanding into oral formulations. New indications. Combinations with lifestyle interventions, challenges, supply shortages, high cost, side effect concerns may limit uptake. Biotech firms are innovating to address muscle retention during weight loss or mitigate GI risk. Reduce demand for certain services by preventing obesity-related complications, heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, crisis. Decrease hospital admissions and strain on ERs, ICUs, specialties like cardiology and endocrinology. Potential increases. Early reports of side effect floods have been anecdotal and not supported by widespread data. Experienced providers report no such deluge. New obesity clinics are emerging to handle monitoring and prescribing. We are being told hospitals are flooded with GLP-1 complications and that we are at the tip of iceberg. I've been a bariatric surgeon long enough. Remember these drugs when they were still in trials. I have prescribed them. I monitored patients on them. And when the ER had a question about one of my patients on a GLP, they called me. We know what they are. We counsel patients about them. We stop the drug if needed. That's called medicine. Treating it is not cosmetic vanity. It is not forcibly stopping people from eating. It is modifying disordered physiology. Something we do every day with insulin, thyroid hormone, antihypertensives, and chemotherapy. The relevant comparison is not drug risk versus zero. It is drug risk versus the very real morbidity of leaving obesity untreated. Tons of admission side effects from GLP-1 injections. People in the US can't see it because there is no centralized data collection. Thankfully, countries like the UK do collect all the data and can see it. We are only at the tip of the iceberg with this disaster. Parents lose the house, too young for Bitcoin, senior year on Zoom, college in lockdown, graduate into a frozen job market. Oh no. And the size of the portions too. Then I go online, people are acting like the health catastrophe phase is some type of mystery. It's not rocket science, folks. Hypocrites knew it 2500 years ago. You are what you eat. Trying to medicate itself out of poor lifestyle habits is like watching a slow-moving train crash. Build something, anything, a product, yourself, a family, a community, a team, a company, an organization, relationships, or help someone else. Don't complain or be a victim ever. Play nice but win. Change is going to come from the bottom up. It's not going to come from doctors. If you want a good place to start a culture change, whenever your physician is about to prescribe a drug, please always ask them, what is the plan to get me off this medication? But you'll also see the parents buying them supersized meals with plenty of sugary desserts and sodas. Our country needs to be honest with itself about the causes of this catastrophe, now afflicting millions of kids under 12 years old. Wow, he just posted this two days ago. If you look in the wellness space online, overwhelmingly the blame for childhood poor health seems to be on the bad processed food. We will stop blaming the food and accept that we have a completely broken culture. If parents don't value health, children do not have a chance. This is the truly unprecedented, and it's exponentially worse over the last 10 years. Another 10 years when all these overweight children are in their 20s with chronic diseases that previously only used to happen in people 60s and 70s, a true national emergency. I hope the people at the top can see what's really going on rather than think the solution lies with working with food corporation, changing the type of oil the food is cooked in. If you're serious about getting healthy, stop eating chips. That's it. End of tweet. 98% of everything you see when it comes to diet, health, well-being advice is just mental gymnastics around getting into a caloric deficit. 1 million ways to be healthy, but the number one way to destroy your health is to consistently overload your body with more than you need. They simply force people into a caloric deficit. By far, far, far better and healthier to do that naturally if you can. Today we share our AI doctor for the first time. The future is an AI that knows about your body than any human ever could. one of these guys are going to acquire superpower. It's going to be the Claude. I think it's going to be Claude. Claude is going to acquire superpower. How the ear doctor is trained, labs, medical history, lifestyle data, goals, preferences, clinical frameworks. Dog, delete this, and please hire a lawyer with some degree of regulatory knowledge, please. GG Max. Why would Will say this? When Will say something like this, it's better to listen. It's actually crazy. It's the highest liked comment over here. But why is the scar on the left if the appendix is on the right? Dude, you're absolutely 100% correct. Your hawk-eyed brilliance saved us all. Let me try this one more time. Oh my god. Oh my god. Tech inching closer to reality. Okay, really interesting. We pivot toward preventive medicine with bariatric surgeons and endocrinologists, seeing changes in patient volumes. Cost dynamics, initial high cost, long-term savings, 400+ billion annually through lower obesity-related claims. Medicare negotiations may lower prices, influencing commercial markets. Many insurers are restricting weight loss coverage to diabetes or high BMI cases, but new indications could expand it. Employee benefits strategies are adapting, with some offering generics for affordability. Healthier populations could boost workforce participation, lower disability claims, and adjust life insurance annuity models due to longer lifespans. Impacts on related healthcare sectors, medical devices, reduce need for obesity-linked devices, potential growth in monitoring tools for GLP-1 adherence. Demand for bariatric surgery devices may decline as drugs offer non-invasive alternatives. Wellness and fitness, increased physical activity among users, boosting demand for preventive services, shifts in nutrition counseling. Holistic studies and policies promoting access, dynamic scoring for economic models to capture savings. With only 6% US adoption currently, scaling could reshape healthcare profoundly, saving costs, innovative treatments, prioritizing prevention. So it's interesting. It would be interesting to go deeper into this. Reshape healthcare profoundly, saving costs, innovating treatments, and prioritizing prevention. However, uncertainties around long-term risk, access, equity, and supply must be addressed. Okay, this is a real quote, and it's provocative oversimplification that contains a kernel of truth but misses enormous context. Nvidia designs chip but doesn't manufacture. The final chip design gets encoded in a file format called GDSII, not actually FTP. This file gets sent to TSMC, who fabricates the physical chips. Literal sense, yes, the product Nvidia hands off as a file. That's like saying the entire value of a pharmaceutical company is just one PDF of a molecular formula, or that Pixar's value is just one video file. The file is the output of the value creation, not the value itself. That's actually a really good one. That's like saying that's like saying Interstellar is just a .mov file. That's pretty good. Nvidia's 2 to 3 trillion valuation reflects years of accumulated R&D in GPU architecture. The CUDA software ecosystem, which is arguably their deepest moat, it's what locks in developers and researchers, their networking stack, their AI software libraries, their talent base of thousands of chip architects, and their strategic positioning in the AI supply chain. The CUDA ecosystem alone is something competitors have struggled to replicate for over a decade. AMD makes competitive hardware, but it still can match the software stack that makes NVIDIA's GPUs so easy to develop on. NVIDIA is in a strategically vulnerable position because they are fabless. They are completely dependent on TSMC's manufacturing. That file would have nowhere to go. This dependency is something the entire industry is quietly anxious about. Wait, what just happened? It's a big part of why there's so much investment in domestic chip fabrication in the US and Europe. So Musk's comment works as a rhetorical jab at NVIDIA's asset-light model, but as an actual valuation argument, it falls apart pretty quickly. This was good. This was good to question because something I've been thinking a lot about, and yeah, this is good to know. Who wrote this? Alap Shah. Okay. Macro memo: the consequence of abundance. How it started when friction went to zero from sector risk to systemic intelligence displacement. The daisy chain of correlated the battle against time intelligence premium unwind. What if our AI bullishness? This might be the last thing that we do, and then we will end this. Okay. What if our AI bullishness continues to be right, and what if that's actually bearish? It follows the scenario, not a prediction. This isn't bear pawn or AI doomer fanfiction. The sole intent of this piece is modeling a scenario that's been relatively underexplored. Our friend Allah posed the question, and together we brainstormed the answer. He wrote this part, and he's written 2 others you can find here. The consequence of abundant intelligence. The unemployment rate printed 10.6 this morning. The market sold off 2% on the number, bringing the cumulative drawdown in the S&P to 38%. Traders have grown numb. 6 months ago, a print like this would have triggered a circuit breaker. 2 years, that's all it took to get from contained and sector specific to an economy that no longer resembles the one any of us grew up in. Wow. This is just like every few months, how the AI companies are like, it killed the startup, it killed my startup, stuff like that. Slowly you're going and killing the biggest billion-dollar companies. Nike's gonna post one day, AI killed our company. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. The euphoria was palpable. By October 26, the S&P 500 flirted with 8,000. The Nasdaq broke above 30K. The headline numbers were still great. Owners of compute saw their wealth explode as labor costs vanished. Meanwhile, real wage growth collapsed. Despite the administration's repeated boasts of record productivity, white-collar workers lost jobs to machines and were forced into lower-paying roles. And cracks began appearing in the consumer economy. Economic pundits popularized the phrase ghost GDP, output that shows up in the national accounts but never circulates through the real economy. The global intelligence crisis. In every way, AI was exceeding expectations. The market was AI. The only problem in the economy was not. The velocity of money flatlined. The human-centric consumer economy, 70% of GDP at the time, withered. We probably could have figured this out sooner if we just asked how much money machines spend on discretionary goods. AI capabilities improved. Companies needed fewer workers. White-collar Layoffs increase displaced workers, spend less margin pressure, pushed firm to invest more in AI. AI capabilities improved. It was a negative feedback loop with no natural break. The human intelligence displacement spiral. White collar workers saw their earning power rationally, their spending structurally impaired. Real incomes were the bedrock of the 13 trillion mortgage market, forcing underwriters to assess whether prime mortgages are still money good. 17 years without a real default cycle had left private bloated with PE-backed software deals that assumed ARR would remain recurring. The first three defaults due to AI disruption in mid-2000 challenged that assumption. This would have been manageable if the disruption remained contained to software, but it didn't. By the end of 2027, it threatened every business model predicated on intermediation. Swaths of companies built on monetizing friction for humans disintegrated. The system turned out to be one long daisy chain of correlated bets on white-collar productivity growth. The November 2027 crash only served to accelerate all of the negative feedback loops already in place. We've been waiting for bad news as good news for almost a year now. The government is starting to consider proposals, but public faith in the ability of the government to stage any sort of rescue has dwindled. Policy response has always lagged economic reality, but lack of a comprehensive plan is now threatening to accelerate a deflationary spiral. In late 25, agentic coding tools took a step function jump in capability. Competent developer working with Cloud Core and Codex could now replicate the core functionality of a mid-market SaaS product in weeks. CIO reviewing a 500K annual renewal started asking the question, what if we just build this ourselves? Agentic AI was still a buzzword. The mid-year review was the first time procurement. ServiceNow net new decelerates to 14% for 23%. 15% workforce reduction. Structural efficiency program shares fall 18%. What else were they supposed to do? Sit still and die slower? The companies most threatened by AI became AI's most aggressive adopters. The AI feedback loop, a non-cyclical disruption. The intelligence displacement spiral. The great displacement tech workforce to gig economy flow. The mortgage accelerant to the intelligence displacement spiral, the battle against time, three drivers of the intelligence crisis: real economy, financial system, policy response. AI capability improves, companies need fewer workers, white-collar layoffs increase, displaced workers spend less, margin pressure on firms, invest more in AI. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Financial system. Income permanently impaired. Let me send this to one of my friends because it's incredibly important. It's incredibly important. Okay. The system wasn't designed for a crisis like this. The federal government's revenue base is essentially a tax on human time. People work, firms pay them, the government takes a cut. Individual income and payroll taxes are the spine of receipts in normal years. The government needs to transfer more money to households at precisely the moment it is collecting less money from them in taxes. The intelligence premium unwind. But repricing is not the same as collapse. The economy can find an equilibrium. Getting there is one of the few tasks that only humans can do. We need to do it correctly. This is the first time in history the most productive asset in the economy has produced fewer, not more jobs. Nobody's framework fits because none were designed for a world where the scarce input became abundant. So we have to make new frameworks. Whether we build them in time is the only question that matters. But you are not reading this in June 28. You are reading it in February 26. The S&P is near all-time highs. The negative feedback loops have not begun. We are certain some of these scenarios won't materialize. We are equally certain that machine intelligence will continue to accelerate. The premium on human intelligence will narrow. As investors, we still have time to assess how much of our portfolios are built upon assumptions that won't survive the decade. As a society, we still have time to be proactive. The canary is still alive. Policy response, circular flow breaks, tax receipt collapse, structural transfers needed, structural deficit, partisan debates and lobbies influence, insufficient policy response, income permanently impaired, mortgage and credit stress, private credit defaults and losses, forced asset sales in a liquid market, credit tightening, wealth effect collapse. We need a nice quick summary of it, but yeah, that's the stream. We'll look into it further. Vaibhav Singh has just messaged, hi Vaibhav, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Yes. Vaibhav, how did you find this stream? How did you came across the stream? Where's the basket? I work in big tech, one of the big Mag 7s. Useful it is proving. However, one thing that has become apparent from all this is that a lot of investors and management are working off very simplistic models of how things work. Generally seem to think AI is magic. Something I generally do find interesting and valuable in this piece is the idea that it doesn't really matter if it is feasible or not to re-implement the systems a SaaS is providing you, as long as you can persuade the salesperson that you genuinely think that you can. Very interesting. Very interesting. Vaibhav, I'm curious. What do you... It's 4 a.m. in India. Yes, I know that. That's right. What are you excited about AI? How much AI are you using? This is going to be a one-way conversation where I'm going to be talking and you're going to be responding via text, but I'm curious. So what are you teaching here? We are exploring, we are learning, we are collecting, forming insights about the world over here. Extract key points. Let's see. As a stress test of assumptions, the big thesis. If AI makes intelligence abundant, the entire system begins to reprice, not because output disappears, but because income disappears. However, we are talking about something really relevant over here. What do you have to say about the rise of AI and how it's taking jobs, and how are you anxious about it? How are you thinking about acting in this world where people are worried that AI is gonna lead to more layoffs? Yeah, maybe I'm asking too many questions and it's gonna be a little bit slow to type. The modern economy is built on the one side assumption: human intelligence is scarce. If AI makes intelligence abundant, the entire system begins to reprice. Displacement spiral. So we got AI gets better, firms replace white collar labor, costs fall, profits rise, savings reinvested. Yeah, if profits rise, that profits are again going to go to shareholders. Again, this is where the entire concept of permanent underclass becomes more and more not relevant, but something that people start believing in, because then only few people are benefiting. But then also another thing that people start seeing is that the remaining portion of the people will check out from the economy, because if they don't have the income, if they don't have the disposable income, they are not spending. But if they still want the products, that's when you see some sort of, this is exactly what happens when you see revolts in history. Because what is truly happening over here is that when the few have made the rest, the 98%, to check out of the economy, but they still need the tools. They still want to be part of it. So you go out and create your own economy, but you are like, oh, we are the mass, so we can go and build ourselves, and we will make them the outsiders. So this is something interesting that starts happening. Profits rise, savings reinvested into more AI, more labor displaced. Displaced workers spend less, demand weakens, firms automate further to protect margins. Loop repeats. No natural break, unlike past cycle. This is not cyclical, not driven by rates, not driven by inventory. I think you're forgetting the part that the products that we are talking about, the firms, the products that you're talking about, you are finally at the end of the day, you are selling those products to the same people who you are laying off, or to other people who are losing their disposable income. How are they going to pay for your products then? You have to then drop your prices. You have to somehow inject fuel into the economy. Why white collar matters. The disruption is concentrated at the top of the income stack. 50% employment, 75% discretionary spending, not 20% drive, 65% of consumption. So even small job losses here hit demand disproportionately. Example dynamic. 180k PM replaced becomes 45k Uber driver multiplied by hundreds of thousands. Wage compression spreads economy wide. Interesting. 180k PM. Okay. Goes GDP. Output still grows. Both. I met some interesting people in SF in San Francisco, where I remember I met this one person and the Uber driver, and he had the book Creativity Inc. on his other seat. So that led to a very interesting conversation. And he mentioned that how he was, I think he mentioned he was a sales executive somewhere, and then he's been looking for a job, and Uber is a great way to hang out, to make money, while also you get to talk to people. I think it's incredible. I think Uber is incredible. Uber is the new generation way of actually being face to face and having real conversations with people without worrying about, hey, you have to dress up, go to a bar, go to a network event, stuff like that. Instead, why not help people and spend time with them face to face, or whatever. It's not face to face, but still there's a mirror over there. You can still be face to face. Output still grows, but money stops circulating through households. Machines don't eat all, buy homes, shops, so GDP increases, corporate profits increase, consumer economy decrease. Ghost GDP. Output still grows, but money stops circulating through households. SaaS was the first domino. Agentic coding makes build versus buy a real option. Even if internal builds are worse, the threat kills pricing power. Affects enterprise software pricing collapses. Seed-based models shrink as headcount shrinks. AI-threatened firms automate themselves. Incumbents don't resist AI. They rushed toward it. Rational individually, catastrophic collectively. I don't know whether if you're listening, but DM me on Twitter and we'll chat. I'm curious how you found and what are you interested in. Intermediation dies next. AI agents remove friction. They cancel unused subscriptions, reshop, insurance, optimize purchase, compare price, travel booking, financial advice, tax prep, real estate commissions, delivery platform. Agent to agent, this pressures Amex, issuer banks, reward driven economics. Friction was the moat, friction to zero. Loans were safe when written, prime borrowers lose income, but future earning power collapses. So high FICO borrowers become fragile. Stretch shows up as HELOC draws, 401 withdrawals, credit card use before defaults. 13 trillion mortgage market. Private credit fragility. P-backed SaaS assume recurring revenue stays recurring. AI breaks that, defaults emerge. But here's the twist. Permanent capital funding private credit is life insurance money. Regulators tighten. Forced selling risk emerges. Government constrained taxes don't depend on labor income. Winners, compute owners, AI labs, chip ecosystem. Losers, white collar labor, intermediation industry, SaaS pricing, mortgage dependent regions. AI layoffs, weak demand, more AI, financial loop, income loss, mortgage stress, credit tightening, wealth effect drop. Possible responses, direct transfers to displaced workers, tax on AI inference, public claim on AI output. Political consensus becomes the bottleneck. Wow. We're still early. Markets are still euphoric. The loops haven't fully started. The canary is alive. I think we need a sustainable model. It's very interesting. I believe that AI labs are facing pressures from both the end. Number one, from the investors about when are they going to make their money back, and from the consumers, because now that AI is taking away all the jobs, people want universal basic income that is taken from the revenue that AI is making. It's very interesting. That's a really compelling framing. Pincer movement on AI labs from capital and labor simultaneously. The investor pressure is already visible. We're past the pour money and figured out later phase. Burn rates are extraordinary. At some point, the question shifts from how capable is your model to where is the margin, and the pressure shapes product decisions in ways that don't always align with building the best technology. The consumer labor side is more interesting to me because it's still nascent but accelerating. Right now, the conversation is fragmented. You have got tech workers worried about coding jobs, creatives worried about content jobs, knowledge workers worried about analysis jobs, but they haven't coalesced into a unified political demand yet. When they do, UBI funded by AI revenue becomes the obvious shelling point. The squeeze for AI labs is that these two pressures are fundamentally contradictory. Investors want maximum extraction and returns. A UBI regime, whether through a taxation, windfall profits, or some other mechanism, directly cuts into those returns. So the labs are eventually going to have to pick a side, or at least navigate between them. Most labs seem to be in the talk about safety and social responsibility while optimizing for investor returns mode. That works as long as job displacement stays gradual enough that political pressure doesn't crystallize. But if there is a sudden acceleration, say agentic AI actually replacing whole categories of white collar work in compressed window, the calculus changes fast. Very interesting stuff.